this lecture, we are going to discuss the numericals of the last chapter of Electricity and Magnetism Part 1, and the chapter was the electrostatic fields in matter. So the first numerical is a parallel plate capacitor has a capacitance C0 when it is half filled with the dielectric of dielectric constant 5, find the percentage increase in capacitance. So first of all, the concept that we have already done is that when a particular parallel plate capacitor has a capacitance, and what is the formula of the capacitance? The capacitance is equal to epsilon naught into capital A divided by small d, where capital A is the area of each plate and small d is the separation between the two plates. So over here we are given that a parallel plate capacitor has a capacitance C0, and this is the capacitance of the capacitor which is not filled with any medium. So there is vacuum between the plates of the capacitor. So the capacitance of this capacitor is given by C0, and it has the formula epsilon naught into capital A divided by small d. Now we are given that this capacitor is half filled with dielectric and half of the capacitor is the vacuum. The half of the capacitor is just vacuum, and half of the capacitor, the space between the plates, half of the space is covered with the dielectric and half of the space is still empty. So now we have to find out the percentage increase in the capacitance. So now we will find the capacitance of this particular capacitor. We already know the capacitance of this capacitor, and that is C0 and is given by this formula. Now we will find out the capacitance of this particular capacitor, and we will see what is the percentage increase in the capacitance. So now in the second case, how do we find the capacitance of this capacitor? So this capacitor, it can be seen that the capacitor is half filled with a dielectric which has a dielectric constant 5, and half of the space between the plates is still empty. So this can be considered to be made up of two capacitors. So this whole one capacitor, it can be assumed to be made up of two capacitors. One capacitor is just in this region. One capacitor is just in this region, and the second capacitor is this one. So we have two capacitors. We can consider this whole one capacitor as made up of two capacitors. One is which is filled with the dielectric, and another is which is completely empty. So we can consider that this capacitor, this whole capacitor whose distance between the two plates is small d, this capacitor can be considered to be made up of two capacitors. One is this capacitor which is completely filled with dielectric and has spacing between the plates equal to d by 2, and the another capacitor has a vacuum inside. It has vacuum between the space, and the distance between the plates is d by 2. So this whole capacitor can be assumed to be made up of two capacitors, each which has a distance between the plates equal to d by 2 and d by 2. So now what we will do is we will find the capacitor of this first capacitor, then we will find out the capacitance of this first capacitor, then we will find out the capacitance of this second capacitor. And it can be seen that these two capacitors, they are joined in series. So this is just a series combination of two capacitors. One is completely filled with dielectric and distance between the two plates is d by 2, and the second is filled with vacuum, there is no medium, and the distance between the plates is d by 2. So this is a series combination of two capacitors. So first of all, we will find the capacitance of this first capacitor, then we will find out the capacitance of this second capacitor, then we will apply the formula to find the resultant capacitors when two capacitors, they are attached in series. So what will be the capacitance of this whole capacitor? So first of all, we are going to find C1. C1 is the capacitance of this capacitor, and C2 is the capacitance of this second capacitor. Then the resultant capacitance will be equal to C1 into C2 divide by C1 plus C2. So this is the formula that we use when two capacitors they are joined in series. So the net capacitance will be the capacitance of first multiplied by capacitance of second divided by the summation of capacitance of both the capacitors. So this formula gives us the net capacitance. So now our main target is to find C1 and C2. C1 is the capacitance of this capacitor and C2 is the capacitance of this capacitor. So what will be C1? The capacitance of a capacitor of this capacitor which is completely filled with the dielectric, and distance between the plates is given by d by 2, and we have seen the capacitance is given by epsilon into capital A divided by distance between the two plates, and now we are assuming that distance between the two plates is d by 2. So this will be the capacitance of the first capacitor, and epsilon is nothing but equal to epsilon naught into K. K is the dielectric constant of the medium which we have introduced between the plates. So epsilon can be written as epsilon naught into K, and K is 5. So K we are given with the value of K which is equal to 5 into capital A divided by d by 2. So d into 2. So this will be equal to 10 epsilon naught into capital A divided by D. Now capacitance of the second capacitor, this capacitor. Now this second capacitor, it has vacuum between the plates and distance between the plates is d by 2. So capacitance will be just epsilon naught into capital A divided by the distance between the plates, and that is d by 2. So this will be equal to twice of epsilon naught into A divided by D. So now the total capacitance of this second capacitor will be equal to C1 into C2 over C1 plus C2. So that will be, now over here one more thing we can do is epsilon naught into A by D is equal to C0, that we already know. So over here epsilon naught into A by D, it can be put equal to C0. So 10 will remain as it is into C0, and C2 is equal to twice of C0. So now total capacitance will be equal to C1 into C2. So C1 into C2 will be 20 C0 into C0 over 10 C0 plus 2 C0, because we have C1 plus C2. So C1 plus C2 will be 12 C0, and that will be equal to 2 divided by, it will be equal to 5 divided by 3 into C0. So we will simplify it, and this will be equal to 5 C0 divided by 3. This is the total capacitance of this second capacitor, which is half filled with dielectric and half of the space is still empty. So this is the net capacitance of the second capacitor. Now capacitance of the first capacitor was epsilon naught into A by small d. So now what will be the change in, because what we want to find is percentage increase in capacitance. So to find percentage increase, we must find the change in capacitance. So earlier the capacitance was C0 and now the capacitance is 5 C0 divided by 3. So what is the change? It is 5 C0 divided by 3 minus the initial capacitance which was C0. So it will be equal to 2 C0 divided by 3. So this is the change in the capacitance. So now we want to find is percentage increase, the percentage by which the capacitance has increased from its initial value. So percentage increase in capacitance will be equal to delta C divided by the initial capacitance into 100. So that will give us the percentage increase in capacitance, and that will come out to be equal to 2 by 3 C0. This is the change in capacitance, this one, divided by C0 into 100. So that will come out to be 66.66%. Now the second numerical, a parallel plate capacitor of capacitance 100 microfarad. So capacitance of the capacitor is given as 100 microfarad. Now the capacitor of 100 microfarad capacitance is charged by a battery of 50 volt. So let's say this is the capacitor and we charge this capacitor with the help of a 50 volt battery, which means we will charge this capacitor up to 50 volt. So charge the potential difference between the plates of the capacitors will be 50 volt. So a battery of 50 volt is attached and we charge this capacitor, and after that we disconnect it from the battery, which means this capacitor, the potential difference between the plates of the capacitor will be 50 volt, because the capacitor is charged to a point such that the potential difference between the plates, it will become 50 volt, and after that we disconnect the battery. So the potential difference between the plates of the capacitor is 50 volt. So this is in the case of the first case. Now we have to find out the amount of work which is required to be done to double the separation between the plates. So now what we have done is we took a capacitor, we charged it with the help of a 50 volt battery. The capacitance of this capacitor is 100 microfarad and we charge it with the help of 50 volt battery, and after this capacitance has been charged to its fullest amount, then we disconnect it from the battery, which means the potential difference between the plates of the capacitor will be 50 volt and capacitance is already given, which is 100 microfarad. So first of all we are going to find is the amount of charge which is present on each plate. The charge present on each plate will be equal to, the formula of charge is Q is equal to C into V. This we already know. So the capacitance of the capacitor into the potential difference between the plates will give us the amount of charge present on each plate. So this will come out to be equal to 100 microfarad. Microfarad can be written as into 10 power minus 6 farad into the potential difference, which is 50 volt, and you will calculate it and it will come out to be 5 into 10 power minus 3 coulomb. So farad into voltage, that will give us coulomb. So this is the unit of charge, SI unit of charge. So this is the amount of charge which is present on each plate. Now what we want to find is, we want to find out the amount of work that must be done to double the separation between the plates. So this was the case that we took a capacitance of 100 microfarad capacitance, then we charged it up to a potential difference of 50 volt. Then what do we want to find is, we want to find the amount of work that must be done by us so that we could double the separation between the plates. So obviously we will have to do some amount of work if we want to double the separation, because let's say this plate is positively charged and this plate is negatively charged, and if we want to increase the gap between positive and negative charge, obviously we will have to do some amount of work. Now when you will change the separation, when you are increasing the separation between the plates, what is the thing which is not changing? The only constant thing over here will be the amount of charge, because as you increase the distance between the plates, obviously the capacitance will also change, because capacitance, it depends upon the separation between the plates, as we already know. So if you are increasing the separation, the only parameter that will not change is amount of charge which has been established on the plates. So amount of charge will remain constant. So this will be the amount of charge in the second case also. So now we want to find is the amount of work that we must do. So first of all, how do we find the amount of work? First of all, what do? We will find out the potential energy which is stored in this first capacitor. Then we will find the potential energy which is stored in the second capacitor. So firstly, we will find the potential energy stored in the first capacitor and the potential energy which is stored in the second case. Then we will subtract both the potential energies and we will find from that difference in potential energy, we will find the amount of work that must be done. So that difference in potential energy will be nothing but the amount of work that we must do so that we could double the separation between the plates of the capacitor. So first of all, we have to find the potential energy of the first capacitor, then we will find the potential energy of the second capacitor. So for the case of first capacitor, what will be the potential energy? Let's say This was the initial potential energy, and the final potential energy will be represented by UF. So Ui represents the potential energy stored in this first stage. So that is equal to, we already know the formula of the potential energy stored in the capacitor, and that is half times the CV square. But over here the only thing which is constant is charge. So we are using the formula of potential energy in terms of charge. So in terms of charge, what is the potential energy stored in a capacitor? It is equal to half into Q square divided by C. So this is the formula of potential energy stored in a capacitor. Now charge on both the capacitors will remain the same. Charge on each plate of both the capacitors will remain the same, but what will be different? It will be the capacitance. So first, for the case of first capacitor, what will be the capacitance? It will be equal to, so let's represent it by C0. The capacitance of the first capacitor, let's represent it by C0. So what will be C0? It will be equal to epsilon naught into capital A divided by small d. So let's say A is the area of each plate and D is the separation. Now capacitance of this second capacitor. What will be the capacitance of second capacitor? Let's represent it by capital C, and it will be epsilon naught into capital A divided by twice of D, because we have doubled the separation between the plates and area remains the same. So the capacitance, it will be decreased by 2. So now the capacitance, it has decreased, it becomes half. So capital C, it can be written in terms of C0, and it will be C0 divided by 2. Epsilon naught into A by D is nothing but C0. So capital C will be equal to C0 divided by 2. So now what is the final, what is the potential energy of this second capacitor, and it is represented by UF. So it will be equal to half Q square divided by capacitance, and what is C? It is equal to C0 divided by 2. So it is C0 divided by 2. So we will get into 2. So this is the potential energy stored in the case of first capacitor, and this is the potential energy stored in the case of second capacitor. And over here we have written capital Q, which is same in both the cases, because charge, it does not, the charge, it will remain the same, it will not change. So what is the difference in the potential energy? So the difference in potential energy of these two capacitors will give us the amount of work that we have to do so as to double the separation between the plates of the capacitor. So amount of work that has to be done is represented by capital W, and it will be the difference in the potential energy stored between the two capacitors, and it will be nothing but equal to UF minus UI. So it will be equal to, what is UF? It is equal to Q square divided by C0 minus, what is UI? It is half of Q square divided by C0. So this will be equal to half of Q square divided by C0. Now what is capital Q? Capital Q, we have already calculated, it is 5 into 10 power minus 3 coulombs. And what is C0? C0 is the capacitance of the first capacitor, and that is 100 microfarad. So the capacitance of this capacitor is given as 100 microfarad. So you will put the values of capital Q and put the value of C0. You will get the total amount of work that has to be done. So this will be equal to, you will calculate it, and it will be 12.5 into 10 power minus 2 joules. So this is the amount of work that we have to do so as to double the separation in this capacitor. The next numerical is that a sample of dielectric is given which is uniformly polarized, and polarization produced is 5 into 10 power minus 8 coulombs per meter square. So this is the unit of polarization vector that we did in this chapter. So a sample of dielectric is uniformly polarized, and polarization produced is given by this amount. Now we have to find out is the total surface charge developed on an area 5 meter square. 5 meter square area is given, which is inclined at an angle of 30 degree with the direction of polarization. So let's say the area vector area vector is given by 5 meter square. So 5 meter square, and let's say n cap is the direction of this area vector. The direction of the area vector is given by n cap. So this is any random direction we are taking, and we are given the polarization which is produced is given by 5 into 10 power minus 8 coulomb per meter square. So this is the polarization which we are given. So this is just the magnitude. So this we are given just the magnitude, and we are given that polarization and the area vector, they are inclined at 30 degree. So let's say this is the area vector, this is the direction of n cap. N cap gives the direction of the area vector. So let's say this is the direction of n cap, and let's say this is the polarization vector. So this polarization vector has this direction. So the angle which is made between these two is 30 degrees. Now what we want to find is, we want to find total surface charge. So we want to find is total surface charge which is developed on an area of 5 meter square. So first of all, what we will find is the surface bound charge density. First of all, we will find is surface bound charge density. Find out the surface bound charge density, which is represented by sigma p. So this is the amount of charge which is present. This is the amount of charge which is present in a unit area on the surface. And if we want to find is total surface charge, then we have to multiply by the total area which we are talking about. So firstly we will find out the surface bound charge density, and this will give us the amount of charge on the surface present in unit area. Then we will multiply this sigma p, which is the surface bound charge density. We will multiply it with the area which we are given, total area. That will give us the total surface charge. That will give us the total charge which is present on the whole surface. So how do we find this sigma p? So sigma p is given as dot product of the polarization with n cap. Now n cap is the direction of the area vector. So this formula we have already done. So the surface bound charge density is given by the dot product of polarization with the direction of the area vector. So this will be nothing but equal to p cos of theta. So we have just opened the dot product, and it will be equal to p cos of theta, and p is given by 5 into 10 power minus 8 coulomb per meter square, and cos of theta. What is theta? It is the angle between p vector and n cap, and we are already given in the problem that p vector and n cap, they make 30 degrees. So we will have cos of 30 degree, and when you will solve this, you will get 4.33 into 10 power minus 8 coulomb per meter square. So cos 30 degree is root 3 divided by 2, and when you will solve it, you will get this value. So now we are asked in the numerical to find total surface charge. Total surface charge, the total charge which is present on the surface will be just sigma p into the total area, and sigma p is, we have already calculated, it is 4.33 into 10 power minus 8 coulomb per meter square into total area which we are given is 5 meter square. So this will cancel, and we will just get the total charge which is present on the surface. It will be, when you will calculate it, you will get 2.17 into 10 power minus 7 coulombs. So this is the total surface charge which is developed on an area of 5 meter square when the area vector is inclined at 30 degree with the direction of polarization. Now the fourth numerical is that a dielectric cube. So we are given a cube of side small t. So cube has all sides equal. So every side of cube will be equal to small t. Has radial polarization. So this cube, it has radial polarization, and polarization vector is given by b times r vector, where b is any constant and r vector is the position vector of any point in the cube, and position vector is given by xi cap plus yj cap plus z k cap. So this is the general form of the position vector. Now what we are asked to find is, we are asked to find the total bound volume charge and the total bound surface charge. So as we did in the previous case, we found out the total bound surface charge. So to find total bound surface charge, what we found out first, we found out the surface bound charge density. So similarly in this case, if we want to find is total bound volume charge, so for that we have to find out volume bound charge density first. Then we will multiply that volume bound charge density with the total volume, that will give us the total bound volume charge. So now we are going to find first is volume bound charge density. Volume bound charge density. So that is given by rho P or rho B. In some books it is given as rho B or rho P. So this the formula of the volume bound charge density is already done, and that is negative of the divergence of polarization vector. So the surface bound charge density has the formula of vector P dot product with n cap, and the volume bound charge density has the formula of negative of divergence of the polarization vector. Now polarization vector we are already given. Polarization vector is given by B times R vector, and R vector is nothing but xi cap plus yj cap plus zk cap. So this can be written as bxi cap plus byj cap plus bzk cap. So now we want to find this divergence of this polarization vector, then we will do its negative sign. So firstly we will find divergence of vector P. So what is the formula of divergence? It is del Px by del x plus del Py by del y plus del Pz by del z. So Px, Py, Pz, they are the x, y and z components of the polarization vector respectively. So Px is b into x, Py is b into y, Pz component is b into z. So we have to do its partial derivation according to this formula. So del Px by del x. So del Px by del x will be equal to small b. Then del Py by del y will be again equal to small b, and similarly del Pz by del z will be equal to small b. So it will be thrice of small b. Now volume bound charge density is equal to negative of divergence of vector P. So from here we have divergence of vector P is 3 times P. So volume bound charge density will be equal to minus 3b. Now in the numerical we are asked to find is total bound volume charge. So to find total bound volume charge, we have to multiply the volume bound charge density with the total volume. So volume bound charge density is the amount of bound charge which is present in unit volume. So if we multiply volume bound charge density with the total volume, that will give us the total bound volume charge. So total bound volume charge is given by total, first part, total bound volume charge will be equal to rho B, which is the volume bound charge density, times the total volume, and volume over here will be the volume of this cube. Now cube is given that it has a side of small t, so what will be the volume of the cube? It will be equal to t cube. So the total bound volume charge will be equal to minus of 3b, which is rho b, into volume. Total volume is small t cube, so it will be equal to minus 3b t cube. So this is the total bound volume charge present in the cube. Now the second part is total bound surface charge present on the cube. Now over here we will use the property of polarization. For example, in the case of capacitor, if we have a dielectric which is placed inside this capacitor, and this capacitor, due to the electric field of this capacitor inside this space, the dielectric it gets charged. So this dielectric it gets charged, so there will be some charge present in the volume, as well as there is some charge which is present on the surface, that we already did in the first lecture of the polarization chapter. So the total charge, the summation of the total surface and the bound charge is always equal to 0. So In the case of a capacitor, you can see that if we have placed a dielectric, the summation of all the charges inside the volume of the dielectric, they are zero, as well as the summation of all the surface charges which are present, they are also equal to zero. So from here we see the another property, that summation of total bound volume charge and the total bound surface charge is always equal to zero in the case of polarization. So therefore total bound surface charge will become equal to, now total bound volume charge is minus 3b t cube and total bound surface charge will be equal to plus 3b t cube. So that summation of total bound volume charge and total bound surface charge will be equal to 0. So this is the property that comes in the polarization, that the amount of bound charge present in volume is always equal and opposite to the amount of charge which is present on the surface. Now this last numerical is very similar to the second numerical that we just did. So here we are given that a capacitor, it has capacitance C0 and it has charge capital Q. Now a dielectric having dielectric constant K is inserted between the plates in such a way that charge on the capacitor is unchanged. So charge on the plates of the capacitor, it remains the same and is equal to capital Q. So a dielectric is placed of dielectric constant small k. So now we have to find out the change in energy stored in the capacitor. So this is very similar to the second numerical. So firstly we are given a capacitor whose capacitance is equal to C0 and it will be equal to epsilon naught into capital A divided by small d. So this is the capacitance because it is filled with air medium. So therefore we have epsilon naught over here. Now when this capacitor is filled with the dielectric whose dielectric constant is equal to K. So its capacitance will be given by epsilon into capital A divided by D because A remains the same and the separation between the plates also remains the same. So this is the capacitance of this capacitor. Now epsilon is nothing but K into epsilon naught into capital A remains as it is divided by D remains as it is. So now what is we are asked to find is the change in the energy stored in the capacitor. So what is the change in the energy stored in both the capacitors? So firstly we will find the energy stored in first capacitor, then we will find the energy stored in second capacitor, then we will subtract these two, we will get the change in energy stored in the capacitor. So firstly the energy stored in first capacitor, let's say we represent it by U1. So it will be equal to half times Q square divided by capacitance. What is the capacitance? It is C0. So this is the energy which is stored in the first capacitor and we use this formula of energy stored because we are given that charge on the capacitor remains the constant and only thing that changes is the capacitance. So we will use this formula of energy stored in the capacitor. Now energy stored in the second capacitor will be given by half times charge remains the same, so Q square divided by its capacitance and it is C. Now what is the relation of C and C0? So epsilon naught into A by D, this factor is nothing but equal to C0. So it will be K times C0. So U2, which is the energy stored in the second capacitor, it will be half times Q square divided by K times C0. So instead of C, I have written K times C0. So what is the change in the energy? So change in energy stored will be equal to final energy minus the initial energy. Obviously the final energy stored will be less as compared to the energy stored in the first capacitor because here we have divided by K and here we do not have any such factor. And K is always greater than 1. So change in energy stored will be equal to U2 minus U1. So U2 minus U1. So that will be half times Q square divided by K times C0 minus half times Q square divided by C0. So from here you will get half times Q square divided by C0. It can be taken outside the brackets and you will get 1 by K minus 1. So you can simplify it. You will get 1 minus K divided by K. So that is the energy, that is the change in energy stored in the capacitor when the capacitor is filled with the dielectric of dielectric constant